to another Just 5 Mins. Okay, so how are you doing? What have you been up to? I can't hear anything, of course, because it's not live. But anyway, so what are we talking about? Being specific with AI coding. So I've covered, and there's loads of news about this anyway, vibe coding. Don't you just love that phrase? But you've got these online environments like Replit, Lovable, Google have got Firebase Studio, and there's numerous others. But obviously, I think it's a good thing in a way. It democratizes the way that people can build applications. And there's a lot of people on the other side of the fence saying, you know, you have to know what coding is to build those things. And I do agree. I think like a lot of things, it's like a Lego building block scenario, isn't it? You know, the first Lego that you build probably doesn't look really that great at all, but you then refine it and before you know it, you've built Rome in less than a day. Anyway, but the idea is you've got to be quite specific. And yeah, you know, there is a bit of, do you need to know about coding? Well, yeah, I suppose you do. And I am finally getting to putting the course out that I mentioned a long time ago. Yet another course, who needs it? But anyway, enough of the sales pitch. It's basically to get people who know a little bit about coding or want to do, or just want to do a bit of coding or just curious, just to basically how you can get started in the modern world and, you know, on whichever platform you're on. So anyway, I'll go into that a bit later. Sorry about the sales pitch. But anyway, the idea is that with all of these online environments, it does, you know, there are amazing things that you can do. But if you drop down another level where you're using like a code editor like VS Code or Windsurf, talk about unicorns, that's the unicorn, isn't it? Windsurf. I don't know if OpenAI have actually completed buying Windsurf for $3.5 billion. I don't know. Is that real? Somebody do some research. Let's get AI to actually generate. Anyway, stop it. So you've got that. You've got Cursor AI. There's a few of these platforms, and ironically, they're all based off Visual Studio Code, which is free in of itself anyway. So you can download it for the major platforms, Mac, Windows, Linux, and GitHub Copilot, which is also free. There are generous limits. But even the paid version is about $10, which, to be honest, for that amount and what you actually get, I think is a very good thing. But anyway, that's up to you what you choose, obviously. Windsurf have got their own sort of AI code model now, and how much they charge depends on what you want to use and all the rest of it. But anyway, it's just to get an idea. Okay, so the whole point of this is, you know, if you know even a little bit of code or none, really, you can generate an app like a fitness tracker. I know there's a squadrillion of those out there now because everybody's building their own. Or, you know, a time tracker. Woo! Exciting stuff. Or build a 3D game. Crikey, I've actually seen some that look really, really quite cool. But whatever it is, you know, you start with asking the AI to say, you know, build me this app. Now, obviously, over the last, 6 months plus, most of these editors that I've mentioned, VS Code, Copilot, GitHub Copilot, that is, Windsurf, Cursor AI, they've all got this thing like agent mode where not only will it go and listen to what you want to build, it'll go and try to build it and iterate through building your application for you. Okay, so this is great. And you know, it democratizes, you know, building apps for people and all the rest of it, you know, for better or worse. And yeah, you know, there's depth to this stuff that sometimes you do need to know, and sometimes you just want to do it for a bit of fun. But either way, when you normally talk to the AI in sort of just ask mode or agent mode, you've got to be quite specific what you want, because otherwise you'll just get a very generic application being built, usually with something called React at the front end and Next.js at the back end, because they're like very common sort of frameworks out in the web world anyway. But you can be specific. You can be specific and say, use this framework, use that. But you're doing this all the time and you're having to try to remember all of that. So where I'm getting to is in VS Code, and Windsurf and Cursor AI, by the way, and others have got their own versions of this, is essentially custom instructions. Okay, so in VS Code, like I said, the others have got their own that are very, very similar to this. What you can do is create a .instructions.md file. What the heck is that? It's a markdown. If you don't know what markdown is, have a look. It's essentially a text file with specific, like a hash symbol and then some text. It's like a title. Then you'll have like other bits that define it. But it's a text file with some custom instruction, basically. And essentially these AIs have got these markdown files, and they'll read. There's a whole thing about how to produce these instruction files, these custom instruction files. And the reason why they're good is you can actually put your thoughts down into a more structured format, like essentially a product requirement document, but it's in Markdown, and it doesn't have to be as boring, as complex as you might think. In fact, you can actually ask AI to give you some code examples of this. But interestingly, what you can also do is, rather than the AI guessing what you want to build your application in, you can also give, again, in the VS Code world, Windsurf and Cursor AI is going to be a little bit different, but in the VS Code world, you can put in a special folder like .github/copilot-instructions.md. I'll put some links below to where this is all explained. But the idea is, if you put it at the global level, as it were, you can say, my framework and tools are this, this, and this. So you can say, I don't want to use React, I want to use Vue as the front end, or Blazor as the front end, and I want to use, whatever it is, C#.net, Python as the back end, Next.js, it doesn't matter. But if you give these instructions at the global level, whenever you create a new project and ask AI to go and build your app, it's going to adhere to those overarching rules. Okay, so you can do that at the global level, but you can also do it instructions per project. So you can say the project context, you can give it the full context of what your application is going to be, like build me a fitness tracker that does this, monitors that, whatever it might be. You can give it code style guidelines if you want to get quite specific in that area. Testing practices. You can actually say, when I want to generate tests to test my application, use this type test framework, etc., and do this explicitly as I defined. You can do error handling. It can also say what type of documentation to create. So there's all sorts of things. And the last bit I was going to do is that you can get even more specific. You can give an apply to directive of certain files. So say, for instance, TypeScript, which is a superset of JavaScript. We'll go into that another day. But you can actually say, for these types of files, apply these rules. So that how you set up new functions in code, or the import-export style, the best practices even. So you can actually give the AI a real fighting chance to actually create an application that you really want. And like I said, there's a whole heap of this information about setting these instructions for the AI agent to go and do what it wants to do. And it's worth it, because it's like everything. If you just ask a random, build me an app that will do this, it's just going to sort of glue together abstract bits, and you'll probably end up with something pretty reasonable. But again, if you really want to use the AI to its full extent, I think, and even if you've got a little bit of knowledge about coding, then this would really help. Because it gives those guidelines, the the structure. And again, if per project, you can actually be very specific with your project breakdown as well. So you can do things like, it's going to have this menu, that menu, that menu. It's going to do this. The transitions are going to do this. So you're giving quite a lot of context. So it's a bit of extra work up front. But, I do think from what I've been playing with, you can even get down to coding styles and how you tell the AI, when I'm calling an API, this is the type of code that I want to use. This is the structure of it. So you can get really quite specific with this. So I've rambled on way over 5 minutes, of course. But this is actually quite an interesting thing. There is a really good article or help in VS Code anyway for this. I'll put a link in the show note where you can actually read through this. It feels like there's a bit of extra work and it might put a lot of people off, but honestly, I think if you really want to build something properly with AI, then that's got to be a good start point. But anyway, that's what I've got this time around. So hope you enjoy. If you don't understand any of that, don't worry. I don't think anybody does really. I'm just putting things together that I see. So anyway, have a good week, a good day, wherever you are, and we will catch you on the next one.